Wild hogs wreak havoc all across Central Florida. The pigs cause big problems for homeowners.
The fight against hundreds of wild boars just took a massive turn as farmers introduced a genius way to stop the destruction. This unbelievable method is the result of years of trial and error, and it is finally working.
This trap is a game changer. This will take more pigs and keep taking them.
It is not just about protecting crops. It is about reclaiming the land from an invader that refuses to leave. The crazy part is that this solution is actually simpler than most high-tech gadgets people usually try. What most people do not realize is that the answer was right under their feet the whole time. This is how the battle for the farm is being won. The underground solution. Across many parts of the world, a quiet but destructive invasion has been unfolding for years. Wild boars, also known as wild pigs, have spread far beyond their original homes and settled into places where they do not belong. These animals are strong, adaptable, and extremely persistent. Once they arrive in an area, they rarely leave. Instead, they multiply, spread outward, and slowly take over the land around them. In places like Brazil and Canada, this problem has become especially serious. These animals were first brought into different countries several decades ago for farming and hunting. At the time, they were seen as useful animals and even as a possible source of income. However, many of them escaped into the wild. Once free, they mixed with other pigs and quickly formed large, fast-breeding groups. From that moment on, control was lost. Today, wild boars can be found across nearly every natural region. They live in forests, grasslands, wetlands, and even dry areas where survival seems difficult. Wherever they go, they leave damage behind. Their bodies are heavy, their snouts are strong, and their behavior is purely destructive. They dig constantly, turning over soil in search of roots, insects, and anything else they can eat. Fields that once held healthy crops are often left looking torn apart, uneven, and lifeless. For farmers, the damage is often sudden and devastating. A field that looked healthy one evening can be completely destroyed by morning. Crops such as corn, soy, and sugarcane are especially vulnerable. Entire harvests can be wiped out in just a few nights. For small farmers, this can mean the loss of their only source of income. For larger farms, the losses can reach enormous financial levels. Beyond farmland, wild boars also cause deep harm to nature itself. They uproot plants, destroy young trees, and damage water sources. Forest floors are churned up, making it difficult for native plants to grow back. Seeds that should help forests recover are eaten or destroyed. Over time, this weakens entire ecosystems and makes them less able to survive other pressures. Wild boars even affect the climate because their constant digging releases carbon stored in the soil into the air. Over large areas, this adds up to millions of tons of carbon dioxide being released. Many solutions have been tried to stop them. Electric fences were installed, traps were set, and hunters were brought in. However, most of these methods failed over time. The animals learned quickly and avoided danger. In the middle of this growing crisis, one simple but bold idea emerged. Faced with repeated destruction, one farmer decided to reshape the land itself. Around the field, a deep ditch was dug. This trench was several feet deep and wide enough to prevent boars from jumping across. The soil was piled inward to form a steep slope. A boar trying to enter the field would either fall into the ditch or turn away. Climbing out on the field side was nearly impossible. The solution worked perfectly. Losses dropped dramatically, and in some seasons, the farmer saved nearly all of the harvest. Word spread quickly, and soon other farmers were building similar barriers. While it required effort and planning, it offered long-term protection. But here's the catch. This physical barrier was only the first step in a much longer war. But these physical walls were only the beginning of a much smarter game. The problem with clever pigs. One of the most dangerous traits of wild boars is not their strength, but their intelligence. These animals are among the smartest mammals in the wild. They learn quickly, remember past experiences, and adjust their behavior based on what works. This makes them extremely difficult to manage. Wild boars live in social groups often made up of related individuals. This means that knowledge spreads quickly within the group. If one boar learns to avoid a trap, the others soon follow. Older boars especially become nearly impossible to catch. Over time, entire groups learn how to survive human efforts to remove them. Their intelligence also allows them to adapt to new environments. Wild boars can survive in extreme heat, cold winters, dry seasons, and flooded areas. They find food almost anywhere. When conditions change, they change with them. This adaptability has allowed them to spread across continents and settle in places once thought unsuitable. Reproduction adds another layer to the problem. Female wild boars give birth often and produce large litters. Young boars mature quickly and can reproduce within months. This rapid cycle means that populations grow faster than most control efforts can keep up with. Experts estimate that more than half of a population must be removed just to stop growth. Anything less allows numbers to rebound quickly. Health risks are another serious concern. Wild boars carry many diseases that affect animals and humans. These include illnesses that infect farm pigs and wildlife. Once established, these diseases are difficult to contain and can spread across regions. Livestock farms are especially at risk. Diseases carried by wild boars can lead to mass deaths of domestic animals and long-term economic damage. Native species that have no resistance to these diseases can suffer population declines, further weakening ecosystems. Hunting has been widely used, but its effectiveness is limited. When hunting pressure increases, wild boars change their behavior. They become more active at night and avoid open areas. Missed attempts make them more cautious, not less. In many cases, hunting reduces visibility without reducing numbers. Traps face similar challenges. While young animals may enter them, older boars learn to stay away. Entire groups are rarely captured at once. As long as breeding females remain, populations continue to grow. Success is only possible with strong coordination. Large-scale efforts combining traps and aerial control have reduced numbers in certain areas. These programs require long-term commitment and funding. The fight against wild boars is not simple. There is no single solution that works everywhere. Barriers and removal efforts must be combined. Without constant pressure, populations recover quickly. Wild boars have proven themselves to be survivors. They exploit weaknesses and take advantage of human mistakes. The damage they cause is not only immediate, but long-lasting. The lesson is clear. This is not a short battle. Only consistent action can slow their spread. Even then, success requires patience and resources. It is not that simple, though, because as humans get smarter, the pigs seem to learn even faster. Their brains were actually working faster than the fences could keep up. The total removal plan. Deep trenches built around farmland have helped, but they are far from a perfect answer. These trenches can stop boars from entering certain fields, yet they do nothing to remove the animals from the land nearby. When boars are blocked from crops, they do not disappear. Instead, they move closer to houses, barns, and roads. This shift creates new problems for people and property. Farmers have also found that trenches cost a lot of money. Heavy machines are needed, fuel costs add up, and workers must constantly check the soil. Rain and erosion can weaken trenches over time. Because of this, trenches work more like a temporary wall than a long-term solution. Farmers have also learned that removing only a few boars does not solve anything. Wild boars live in family groups called sounders. If only part of a sounder is caught, the remaining animals quickly understand the danger. These survivors become smarter and more careful. They avoid traps and teach younger boars to stay away. For this reason, farmers now focus on full sounder removal. The goal is to remove every single animal in the group at the same time. This prevents learning and future avoidance. While this method takes more time, it has proven far more effective. To make full group removal possible, farmers use a slow process that focuses on trust. One of the most common tools is fermented bait. This bait is usually made from corn mixed with sugar and yeast. The smell is strong and attractive to boars. Farmers place this bait in open areas and leave it there for weeks without setting any traps. During this time, the boars feed freely and begin to feel safe. There is no threat and no pressure. Trail cameras are placed nearby so farmers can watch what happens without being seen. They study how many boars arrive and if the whole group feeds together. This waiting period is very important. Farmers do not rush. They wait until every member of the sounder is comfortable. If even one boar stays away, the process continues. The goal is total trust. Only when all animals are feeding freely does the next step begin. This patience helps prevent mistakes. After trust is built, modern trapping systems are introduced. These traps are large circular enclosures made of strong panels. They are designed to hold entire groups at once. The gates are controlled remotely and connected to live video feeds. Farmers can watch the trap from their phones in real time. This allows them to see exactly when every boar is inside. The gate is only dropped when the full group has entered. This method greatly reduces escape and prevents survivors. Even with careful planning, some boars still manage to adapt. A few animals refuse to enter traps no matter what. These survivors become a serious long-term problem. When they breed, they pass this cautious behavior to their young. Over time, this creates populations that are harder to control. Each generation becomes smarter than the last. Human activity has also changed how wild boars behave. Because of hunting and trapping, boars have shifted their routines. They are now mostly active at night. During the day, they hide in thick cover and remain unseen. This change forces control teams to work in darkness. Daytime efforts often fail because the animals are simply not there. Night operations are harder and more expensive, but they are now necessary. And get this, the technology being used is now more advanced than what some militaries use. Building a trap is one thing, but keeping it safe is another story. The billion-dollar threat. In different regions, farmers began digging trenches to protect their crops from the destructive invaders. These trenches worked very well to stop pigs from entering fields, but they also caused problems that were not expected. Building and keeping the trenches cost a lot of money. Professional digging cost about $2 per foot. Even a small farm could spend $30,000 to $100,000 just to start. Larger farms needed even more digging, making costs rise quickly. But the money was only the first challenge. The weather made the trenches harder to manage. During the rainy season, trenches filled with mud and water, turning barriers into hazards. Standing water created mosquitoes and other health risks. Heavy rain sometimes made water flow into neighboring farms, causing flooding and soil erosion. Some farmers were even sued by neighbors for the damage caused. The type of soil also caused difficulties. Rocky soil needed heavy drilling equipment, which cost much more, while soft soil often required concrete to stop trenches from collapsing. People's safety was also put at risk by the trenches. It was risky to operate tractors close to trench margins, especially at night. Tractors have fallen into holes in a number of incidents, hurting drivers and causing equipment damage. In one instance, a teenager and a tractor went into a ditch, breaking the boy's arm and destroying equipment valued at roughly $15,000. Emergency vehicles like ambulances or fire trucks had trouble reaching farms because of trenches, which delayed help. Delivery trucks sometimes refused to enter farms without proper bridges. Farmers had to build temporary bridges and warning signs. Even farm workers asked for extra pay to work safely near trenches. Native wildlife also became a problem. Animals like deer and cattle fell into trenches meant for pigs. Seasonal floods made trenches harder to manage, requiring constant cleaning. In some areas, trenches had to be completely dug again every 2 years to stay strong. Despite all of these problems, the trenches continued to prevent invaders from entering fields. The trenches changed how farmers viewed their work. They found how to carefully organize their farms, including water flow and equipment protection. Farmers began cooperating, sharing expenses, and helping one another with upkeep. In order to receive notifications if pigs tried to move, they also kept an eye on other farms. Because of this cooperation, defenses were strengthened and linked throughout entire regions. The trenches were more than just holes in the ground. They showed how even very hard issues may be resolved with basic tools and careful planning. Farmers were able to safeguard their families despite taking risks and spending a lot of money. Yeah, about that, the problem is not just local. It has become a global disaster that could stop world trade. One tiny mistake could bring down a whole country's economy overnight. The unending battle. Across Europe, a problem has been quietly growing for many years, and that is putting it lightly. Wild boars are now appearing everywhere, and they are no longer staying in the dark corners of the woods. For starters, these animals are showing up on farmland in busy cities and right along major roads where people drive every day. In countries like Italy and Germany, the situation has become a total mess. In Italy, for example, wild boars have become so common that people see them walking down the street or hanging out in public parks like they own the place. Spain is facing a similar crisis, with the number of boars doubling in only 20 years. Today, there are close to 2 million wild boars across Europe, and the numbers are climbing faster than anyone expected. The effects of this invasion are extremely serious for the people living there. Farmers are losing millions of dollars each year because their hard work is being destroyed in a single night. In Italy alone, the damage to crops is estimated to cost $22 million every single year. These animals do not just eat the food, they tear up the entire field and ruin expensive watering systems that cost a fortune to fix. But here is the catch. The damage is not just about the money or the crops. Wild boars are causing thousands of car crashes every year because they run out into the road without warning. Drivers hitting an animal that weighs 300 pounds while going 60 miles per hour is a recipe for disaster. Sadly, many of these crashes end up taking the lives of the people inside the cars. In the big cities, these boars have grown incredibly bold. You can find videos online from Rome that show mother boars calmly feeding their young right in the middle of busy streets while cars drive by. People are shocked because these animals do not seem afraid of humans anymore. They walk up to trash cans and even approach people looking for a snack. It is a strange and scary sight to see a wild beast acting like a stray dog in the middle of a massive city. What most people do not realize is that this boldness makes them even harder to control because they have learned how to live around us. Then came another frightening problem that changed everything. In early 2022, authorities discovered that one wild boar was carrying African swine fever. This is a very dangerous virus that affects pigs and boars. It is not dangerous to humans, so you cannot get sick from it, but for pigs, it is a death sentence. Almost all infected pigs die within a few days. There is no medicine for it, no vaccine to stop it, and no treatment to help them get better. If the virus reaches a pig farm, every single animal on that farm must be removed immediately to keep the sickness from spreading to other areas. Italy's pork industry is huge, making about $8.8 billion every single year. This business provides jobs for tens of thousands of people who rely on it to feed their families. If the virus spreads through the wild boar population and into the farms, it could ruin the entire industry and cause a massive economic collapse. The crazy part is that the virus can survive in a dead boar for months, even in the freezing cold. A single animal that passes away in the forest can keep the virus alive in the dirt and the mud, waiting for another animal to come by. This makes stopping the spread feel almost impossible. Yeah, about that, both wild boars and farm pigs are the same species. This means any germ that makes a wild boar sick can easily jump to a farm pig. It is not that simple, though, because wild boars travel long distances every day. They can carry the virus miles away before anyone even knows they are sick. Authorities realized they needed new ideas because the old ways were failing. They started using a special new trap called the pig brig. Unlike the old metal traps that were heavy and hard to move, these are bigger and much more effective. The pig brig is basically a massive circular net that looks like a large fence. It is light enough for a few people to carry, but strong enough to hold a dozen boars at once. This is hands down the best way to catch an entire family group, which is called a sounder. Capturing the whole group at once is the only way to stop them from learning how to avoid the traps. If you only catch one or two, the others get smart and stay away next time. The pig brig targets the mothers and the young, which is the key to slowing down the population growth. In addition to these traps, countries are building massive fences to control where the animals go. Germany has built hundreds of miles of metal fencing along its borders to keep sick animals from entering the country. They even use drones with heat cameras to find the boars at night when they are most active. Another clever approach is changing the environment itself. In some places, experts have created wading pools in the deep woods. These are mud pits and water holes that boars love to use. By giving them a nice place to stay in the forest, the boars are less likely to wander into the city looking for water or a place to cool off. Cities are also spending a lot of money on boar-proof garbage containers. These bins have special locks that a boar's snout cannot open. This cuts off their food supply and encourages them to go back into the wild. Finally, scientists are working on a long-term solution using fertility control. They have a system called BOSS that gives medicine to the female boars through their food. The food is placed in a special box that only a boar is heavy enough to open. This stops them from having more babies without having to remove the adult animals. By using traps, fences, and new technology, countries are finally finding ways to fight back. It is clear that to deal with this species, people must act quickly and work together across borders. So, here is the deal. The battle is far from over and the stakes are higher than they have ever been in history. Is it possible that these wild boars are actually evolving to be smarter than any technology we can ever create? What do you think? Please like and subscribe for more.